One of the coolest bottles I've picked up, and it has a really cool story, and it has something on an app or the website you can check it out. So, what is this bottle? Next. Welcome back to Pars and Pours, a golf-centric whiskey channel. My name's Jim, and we have Baker's 13. Baker's 13. First time I ever having a Baker's 13. And obviously it's a Beam product. And there is a lot going on with this bottle, not only from what's inside the bottle, but what's outside the bottle. Now let's go with what's outside the bottle first. Number one, it has this nice cork game. It has this really cool cork, that the topper that goes on it. It talks about 107 proof Kentucky straight whiskey, single barrel. So Baker's is a single barrel, and there's a story behind that. But again, the other thing that's outside this is this RFID tag, and it's a radio frequency ID, and that's what it stands for. And what they do is apparently it goes on the bottle, and it helps track where this bottle goes. And it has an identification number on it so that when you look it up on the Beam website, that it will tell you where it's from. Now, we are going to go there, and we're going to go up and take a look at how this works out. All right, so we went to the James Beam Distilling, or beamdistilling.com, and we looked up Baker's, and we get to see here's the Baker's section of the website. It has a 7, but if you get down here, there's a 7, there's a single barrel, and then there's the 13. If we wanted to learn more, we would go there, but we're not. The cool part about this is the single barrel journey. And as we load it up, it asks us for the bottle, the number that's on the side. However, it's also inscribed on my RFD tag. So we're going to put that number in. And there we go. Let's see if I did it right. And we did. Okay, so now we're going to start scrolling. And it's tracking our barrel over the past few years. The barrel has been quite a journey while it aged, and they use the RFID number to keep track of it. So apparently they put this thing on the barrel, and then they made copies of it in order to get to the bottles. All right. There's a lot. Which of the 4 campuses was it stored? Let's find out. It was on the Claremont campus. Now if we click here, we can go to the details of Claremont, and you can see where this is where Baker spent most of his time. In fact, he has a house, or had a house, that was right on it, overlooked it. Also talks about where this site was also a previous site for another distillery, and it was next to a quarry, and Jim Beam actually owned that quarry. All right. So now we're going to get a little bit more detail here. You get to see where it's at. There it is, and there's all the other campuses. Or it's on the Claremont campus, I'm sorry, where all the different areas are at. Okay, very cool. And now this says, I was on floor 4, rack house number 50. As we figure it all out, look at that, right there is where it was held. So it was kind of near the edge on the 4th floor. And apparently after a tasting, it wasn't too bad. All right, it was filled in September of 2011. 2011. So it makes this thing a few months short of 14 years instead of the 13. And then if you wanted to figure out what happened in this month during that time frame, a 61-year-old became the oldest college player to play. An Adair County native was given the Medal of Honor, and then they found the person who tried or did steal the Mona Lisa. That's some pretty interesting stuff for that particular month. All right, let's see what else we find out. Barrel meets weather. This shows us how probably the top and the bottom of what we saw. So we saw this barrel saw 103 degrees worth of temp at 90% humidity. And if you wanted to see what it does, basically just what we all know is that As it gets warmer, the pores open up and allows it to get in the wood, and that's where the flavor starts translating. Then it also tells us how cold it got, and it was at -2 at 5 degrees humidity. And then we see where it was at right down there, and the effects of cold. And then we're down, again, it's breathing out, but what it does is it pushes it out, and it pushes it back through the char. I bet that barrel was just absolutely tight as a drum with all the pressure that it was making on itself. All right, so it dumped in May of 2025, so not too long ago, not too bad. And as again, it says each barrel is distinctly different. Well, I like this one so far. Now here we go. Success is the name of the game. It looks like you just found some. You're holding a distinct bottle of Baker's. Virgos usually have a lot to tell you, and this one's no different. And when we opened up the barrel, it's overflowing with big, bold personalities of fruit, vanilla, and caramel notes. Well, cool. Let's go see what that's all about. Virgos always have a thirst for knowledge and share with friends and family. Cool. And my bottle is 13 years, 8 months. Very cool. Like that. And then it's 107 proof. And they ask why 107? Because actually, if you read this stuff about Baker's, he actually liked putting a little bit of water with his stuff when it was cast strength, and he believed that adding it and coming down to this proof was the best way to get all the flavors out of it. That's the way Baker likes it. Filled it up. And it talks about the flavor profile. It seems to be kind of in the middle with going towards the char. That's about it. Normal, actually. I think we're going to see it more in this area. And then if you get to, you can compare it, and then you can save and share. And this is what it looks like. So 13 years, 8 months on that same floor and rack, filled in September, and dump date in 25. So very cool. So that's what we have. It's kind of an enjoyable little thing. It makes it a little bit neater for the buyer of the Baker's 13 or even Baker's 7. If you see down here, it's got a Baker's 7 with a neck label. So definitely worth the trial. So let's go back and do some tasting. Well, that's pretty cool stuff, right? It talks about where it was at, temperatures, the locations, different ideas of just of how this particular bottle worked out. Now, what is Baker's? Baker's is after Baker Beam, and him and Booker Noe were cousins, and Baker and Booker were pretty much what they would say were opposites as far as yin and yang goes. Baker was a very quiet individual, and he started with Beam as a security guard, and there was very few positions within the organization of Beam, and he made his way all the way to distiller, and so with that he was all about single barrels, and he had kind of this quiet, we'll call it rogue kind of personality, showing up to work on a motorcycle with wide lapel. I guess that was a rogue thing back in the day, or a rebel thing back in the day. But he kept things going. He was the guy that knew every inch about Beam, knew everything he needed to know about it, and it was all good. Now, if you go to the website, it also tells you about Baker and his history and who he is involved with and things that he's done. Definitely worth a travel to the Beam website to figure all that out. So, what do we have here? It is a single barrel. It is 107 proof, and it is over 13 years old, as we found out, almost 14, and called months. It depends on how close you want to call that. And it comes out. A lot of the Beam products, there's always this a nuttiness that people talk about. Let's find out if we find this. See, I get a sweetness on the nose, kind of a red fruit-ish, a vanilla, and some char in there. As it goes on, the vanilla keeps coming to the surface. It's a heavy vanilla. It's a heavy vanilla four-fronted on the nose. And just nice and dark and deep. That's just really what it is. A salute. On the drink, on the palate, on the front, you get this a creaminess or an oiliness, and you get that, again, you get the heavy vanilla comes back and through with that red fruit just sitting right there on the tip of your tongue, but it makes it back to the back end, and it also has a very, very, very nice finish. One more and we'll just call it a day. Yeah, when you get this, after the palate's acclimated, there we go. As it's acclimated, you get all those flavors that you got on the nose straight down the middle of the palate. You get a nice, easy mouth feel with it, and it goes and it gives you a great lingering finish. Definitely a keeper for sure. Again, I suggest go to the Beam site so you can enjoy this, see how your bottle will track, and enjoy this. This is one phenomenal pour. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Let's get that viewership up. And as always, save those pars, but share those pours.